Hello, everybody. It's that time again. It is Wednesday night, and I'm here with, a doozy of a topic, but I'm really excited to talk about it because it's very important. And I am just going to wait a couple minutes here, or a couple seconds for people to join. I always post these links to my channel on my social media, on my story and stuff before I go live, usually with a little screen shot of the thumbnail and the title. Today, it is Parasocial Spiritual Psychosis. I am going to tell you about my experiences with this. I would like to argue that it is running rampant in the spiritual community. And that's really hard to see because I love the levels of profound knowledge and downloads that we are accessing. It's just without the proper discernment and grounding, it can be really easy for different parts of us to run away with it. And there's a lot that goes into it too. And some of the reasons why people might run away with it can vary, whether it's trying to cope or trying to feel some level of significance in this world or something. It happens. And so I absolutely do not take this lightly. I want to say a disclaimer before I really get into this that this is very sensitive. Please seek professional advice if you or someone you know might be going through something like this, something similar to what I will be describing. And this is not about shaming people or making fun of people, saying they're stupid, like anything like that. This is a very complex subject, and I'm just simply trying to bring awareness to it. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and define two terms for you: parasocial relationships and then spiritual psychosis. And I have them pulled up. Let's see if it'll let me do this while it's still filming. I think so. Okay, so the definition of parasocial relationships is a one sided. Parasocial relationships are one sided emotional bonds where an individual feels a connection or intimacy with, say, a celebrity or media personality they do not know personally. So that's definition number one. And number two for spiritual psychosis, it's fine. I don't love this definition, but it's the best one I could find. Spiritual psychosis is a condition where intense spiritual experiences lead to a breakdown in a person's ability to distinguish between reality and their own perceptions. So let me just get back to my dude here. So there's that. But then I also want to talk briefly about what I like to call divine illusion, because this plays into this whole kind of concept. So, in my experience, sometimes spirit makes you believe a certain reality to protect you for a time or prevent you from acting in a certain way. So it might make you not pursue relationships at the wrong time, or it prevents you from going down a certain path, etc., that wouldn't support the bigger picture of your true destiny. And so, an example of this is the relationship I was in a majority of my time in college, aka the best experience of my life. I believed me and this guy were going to end up together against all odds. And it served to help me believe in myself and my creation abilities and keep me away from getting involved with the wrong crowds around campus and in Italy when I studied abroad. Despite us not ending up together, that is what that time and I guess that divine illusion served for me, if that makes sense. Not only with the beautiful growth and experiences me and this person experienced, like the reconciliation, I guess, of us not being able to be together is the fact that, oh, well, it also served these other purposes to protect me and all that. So another example that divine illusion happens for us is when it serves as a test. Okay, so for example, my most recent ex, uh, there was a period when like we met and then things fell off immediately. And then I had this whole kind of experience in the ether with him and dreams and stuff where his energy was showing me and teaching me different things about myself. And I'll kind of get into that more later in this video. But basically, there were times during that process of me having the dreams and the revelations and stuff where I intuitively received that he would reach out and he didn't. And straight up, so after that, we actually did come back together eventually last summer. I can't believe that's gonna be almost a year ago. Oh my God. Um, and we had a deeper established relationship, but then that also proved to be not aligned and that ended. And so a few months after it ended, I got a reading from a well-known tarot reader, a well-known psychic who is very accurate, and she gave me a specific time frame that he would be reaching out with real accountability and an apology, and that never happened. But the test lied within the fact that spirit was probably like, okay, well, we gave you this information. Are you going to leave the door open so that he can finally give you the apology you've deserved this whole time? No, because I actively felt siphoned and drained just by having him, like allowing him access to my presences. And so that is an example where like was in a I was putting myself actively in a limbo state, and quite frankly, he treated me pretty terribly. So it's like I passed the test by saying no, even though this well-known accurate psychic is telling me that he's going to reach out with an apology. I'm not going to leave that open for him. So um basically, the time frame that she said, because I went through periods where I had him blocked and then I unblocked him. I blocked him and then I unblocked him. Just responding to my own intuitive feelings and flows. But eventually, yes, that time that she told me came and went. And so now that it's like gone as of, it's a whole month past that time has gone by. So I'm like, okay, no, like blocked forever. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna play this game. And I was checked out mentally anyway during that process of like the unblocking and blocking, but I hope that's not confusing. Basically, I guess old me would have left it open like completely and I wouldn't have even gone back and forth, and I definitely would have left it open now. But now it's like non-negotiable with myself, a boundary like I am not going to be unblocking him. I don't care anymore. So, okay, now that we've discussed this, I want to talk about what could lead someone down the path of like a parasocial spiritual psychosis situation. Um, Basically, here's how it happens. They receive dreams, spiritual downloads, readings they do for themselves or receive from others, sensations in the body, aka energy moving or vibrating, and feeling their mind go to that person without trying. Now, the problem lies when these things are experienced and then the person takes them and runs with them, eventually making them compound over and over as evidence when really it's a mountain being made out of a molehill. Because here's the thing about it, the real energetics behind what this experience is as follows. So, a lot of times it serves as an initiation. This person is like their presence alone is bringing attention to or to heal deep wounds within you. Um, AKA they might kind of serve as a mirror of sorts. And then there's also the matter of conscious versus subconscious telepathy. So that person might not be trying to, or like they themselves at the forefront of their mind are like thinking and like doodaloo, like I'm sending them this message, doodaloo, like um it could be different versions of them across the multidimensional plane. This gets heavy into theory, so stay with me. The way that we are connected via the law of entanglement and the fact that we are all one with eternal source. Sometimes different aspects of our consciousness can interact with each other without us in these forms being conscious of it and like realizing of it. Does that make sense? So, a lot of times it's that too, of like you guys are kind of just like dee 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 in the ether for a certain purpose, for healing for yourself or the other person or the collective, like blah blah blah. That's when you get into grid work and stuff like that, and astral work. Again, that's very advanced. But another thing is, and this particular situation is when you might need, the one that I'm about to get into, you might need intervention from someone like me or another medium or a healer to help sever this connection, because sometimes it doesn't even involve the person that you're thinking of. Sometimes it is siphoning from what are known as phantom collectives. So these are external entities that kind of hang out up here, and they usually have a theme. So there is a collective for depression, for substance use, for anxiety. And when they target you, it can make your symptoms worse. Okay, so this phantom collective in particular that can kind of come to you can almost like it has to do with obsession, and it can derail you because they are feeding off of that emotion in you. Does that make sense? So it's like they're not only perpetuating it, but what you emit, what you give off reacting to that is what they feed off of. Does that make sense? So it's like these are morally gray, like lower dimensional beings. Um, so, like I said, in that case, it doesn't even involve the person you're thinking about. It is like entirely a fabricated fantasy that is like being put on you by these yucky beings that are trying to feed off of your energy. So that's like a whole thing. But here, big but. So when people are experiencing this, there's a person that they see online or they don't know personally, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have these dreams all of a sudden. I'm thinking of them. I received a reading or I saw a reading video and oh my gosh, it really aligns. And this person was talking about all these themes that I'm experiencing." And it's a snowball effect. It's taken too far when one's entire life is put on hold and they think that the person of their affections and them are already in a relationship in the ether. This is something I see all the time, and I might make a separate video, like an actual video, not a live, on my channel about this. This makes me really upset as a psychic, as a reader, when I see people posting collective readings with the title, "The celebrity on your mind is thinking of you," or "Your person is blah, blah, blah," like no contact connection. You guys are already united. It's horrible. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I wish there was a way to, like, ban these. Seriously, because they are fueling these delusions that the target person will wake up one day and come and find them in the physical, when that is not true. It is very dangerous. It can get very scary. Um, and it sucks so bad because this is also like a widely accepted belief that is taken and twisted this concept of like, it's said that everyone we have any kind of relationship with in our lives has been prearranged, or in the case of significant relationships, such as divine union, romantic love, that you were never truly apart and you're just playing out your love story here in the physical and human forms. But that doesn't mean the target person is your person. Let me say that again. It does not mean the target person is your person. Mm. So it's really, really hard. And I just want to mention really quick in this discussion here that I do want to comment about how girls are raised, how we're raised in the 3D, and the many centuries of betrayal, collective miasmic timelines, violations from the masculine in the spiritual side of things. They both kind of combine to make these parts of us so desperately crave being received and understood in the way that we were in ancient societies, and the bigger picture, how we are all one as eternal consciousness. Like we want to believe that, like, this is destined and for a reason because of how bad things were in the past, and maybe this would finally be a remedy. And like, we're kind of predisposed as humans in these forms anyway, though, because of society raising us in this way to be like, oh, knight in shining armor, like that kind of it's everybody has to untangle so much. But I do want to make it clear that it is not just straight women who can fall into this parasocial spiritual psychosis situation. Straight men can too. I have seen that and directly experienced that. And so can anyone of any gender and orientation if there's a lack of both discernment and low self esteem in the person. So, what does this even look like? We're getting into the next section of the video now. This is a lot. I know that, okay, hang on. We're only 17 minutes in and I'm like, I don't know, we're mostly through, well, actually I have a lot of notes left. Let me pause. My dad is watching this and he's probably like, "What?" Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'm looking at the chat. Okay. Questions, comments, is there anything? Because I kind of went through that. I mean, that was a lot of information. So I'm just gonna wait a couple seconds here and watch the chat box if anybody has anything they want me to reiterate or go over again of like, oh wait, what was that section? Or like, what do you mean about this or whatever? And I'll take a breather as well because this riles me up so much. I just feel bad, It's like I had two experiences recently where one directly involved me and one directly involved somebody I used to be really close to. Like, here, I'll say that better. I was the target for one of the situations, and then somebody I used to be really close to was the target of another situation within the span of like 2 months. So I'm like, holy crap, that's like close together, and that's intense. Um, I'm reading the comments. These seem very common. Thank you for touching on the subject. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it is, like I said, it's running rampant in the modern spiritual community scape area time. So I really needed to talk about it. Again, I wish, can we make a petition? Can we like start like a viral cancellation of videos that are tarot readings that are titled like the your person, you're already connected, no contact, blah blah blah, celebrity is thinking of you, blah blah blah. Can we please like start a movement because I can't see people falling into these holes anymore. It's really hard. So, okay, we're going to keep it moving. What are the symptoms of this? How can you recognize this in others and in yourself with compassion and non judgment? Um, this is what people can do when they are in this state. They are very engaged with the target person's social media presence if the target person has one. They can make cryptid, that's an entity. They can make cryptic or hinting kind of social media posts on their own profiles, or straight up having AI generated content of the person and them together. I saw that recently. There were videos and pictures and hashtags. There was a lot. Um, They can be thinking of or talking about the target person a lot. If you're in a relationship with this person, it might be, you know, you might notice that that's kind of all they ever talk about is this person or theories about them or updates or things like that. Um, Watching spiritual content that is meant to address a collective, such as a tarot reading video, and taking it as concrete evidence to affirm their delusion 100%. Because most readers will even say at the beginning of their video, "This is a collective reading. Please take what resonates. Please don't make it fit into your situation." But even if it is really accurate and even if it does really fit, it's important to still take it with a grain of salt because, again, illusion, like I said at the beginning of this video, wow, full circle moment. Because, yeah, like, my ex didn't reach out with accountability. That didn't happen, and it was a test for me. That wasn't meant to be a thing or be true, you know? So, anyway, another symptom could be that person projecting personality traits or a level of embodied spiritual wisdom or power onto the target person that may or may not be accurate. Another thing, fantasizing about the target person in a way that is fantastical, thinking of different scenarios of them uniting and how they'd act or where they would be at. Things that are kind of detailed and kind of go on and on and on. Inquiring with spirit about the status of the relationship very, very often. I see this a lot, especially of, so many tarot readings, so many sessions, so many just however else, divination, whatever, to ask about the person or to, and this gets into energetic violation and trespass territory. It can be scary, you guys. They might feel inclined to, or straight up do this where, it's remote viewing, a remote viewing situation. And if you don't know what that is, it's where you can tap into what somebody is doing, either by projecting your consciousness in their direction or actually astral projecting your soul leaving your body and you literally fly over to spy on them. That might sound a little crazy, but it's a thing. So that is a breach of privacy, obviously, and like literal spying and literal stalking just in the spiritual realm. Um, but this is actually a really good segue into my final symptom here that I'm going to talk about, which is physically moving to the target person's location in hopes of running into them. Because here's the thing, it can start spiritual, it can start in their mind, it can start as like them running away with certain downloads, whatever. But if they actually physically move themselves, their physical bodies, to a location that they know that the target person is at, that is literally stalking and that is literally a crime and that is literally like scary things could happen if they find that person, if they try to take them or something. Oh my God, God forbid. So, as you can see, this can quickly get very real and very horrifying. Um, so, As I said, I had a number of separate experiences, but I'm just going to talk about a number of separate personal experiences, but I'm going to talk about the one that I was the target for because this has never really happened. And um, the only difference, though, is this story that I'm about to tell you and touch on is more leaning towards the spiritual psychosis side rather than the parasocial side because I actually did meet this person at an event physically, semi close to where I'm currently at. And this was a public event. And this person was a stranger, though. I have never met them before. So I'm like shaking. Sorry. Sorry. Shake break. Shake break, TM, copyright. Wherever you're at home, if you're feeling tingly or nervous, just Give a little shake, give a little shake. Okay. Because this is, like, not a fun thing to deal with. That's why I'm kinda like, okay. So, I'm just gonna give the highlights and the key sequence of events without naming names or locations, just for the sake of, privacy. Um, so I met this person at a event that was like a movement meditation of sorts. And during the dance, I mean, we made eye contact a couple times, but it was a pretty big turnout. I think there was maybe 25 people there. So, I mean, you're kind of dancing and kind of moving around everybody, and there's like electronic music, and you're just kind of you're kind of in your own little world in a way because, like I said, it was sort of like a movement meditation kind of thing. And so, after the dance was when the real interaction kind of took place. And so we talked for almost like nearly 2 hours. And he told me about like his life and his philosophy. He was asking me questions and what I'm seeing a in the chat. I am screaming as well, just on the inside. um so yes, we talked, like I said, talked about our lives, and he asked me questions and stuff. It's wild because throughout the interaction, my head felt cloudier and cloudier. And then for my people with the uterus out there, however you identify, my womb started to hurt, like ache in a bad way, a lot. And that is a really big energetic red flag for us who have that organ. Um, because that has to do with our like connection and like creativity, sensuality, like our life force. A big seat of our power essentially is there. So basically, it's wild because I I was talking to my colleague about this earlier. It's so cool how I've developed spiritually and my relationship with God and all of that energetically because tell me why I meet people and then somehow they end up saying the most like heinous, weird stuff about themselves. And it tells me who they are and it warns me and it makes me be like, okay, bye. My friend's theory, my colleague's theory is that, it's the whole light of truth thing. It's the pillar of truth. It's like, in your presence, they can't help but like expose themselves essentially in a way. And this is not an exclusive thing to me. A lot of other people experience this too. Um, because you are like a grounded, authentic person. And so if there's any kind of warning or any kind of danger there, it's going to be expressed, which is so wild. And I say this because he there were two things, and it's kind of a lot. Again, I'm trying to summarize a nearly 2-hour long conversation in just a few minutes in this video. So bear with me. There were hints at potentially sociopathic tendencies with what he was telling me. And then also, um, there were like times where we like hugged or like held hands or whatever, and I like felt nothing. I felt very neutral and I just felt very like, I don't know, whatever. But then and this is YouTube, I don't know how much I can say. And my dad is also watching this. Um, he basically, okay, guys, I'm sorry. We were on, and this was before I don't know. When you're people can relate, I'm sure. When you're actively with somebody, sometimes you don't see everything that's going on until after you've parted. Okay. So the cogs were starting to turn in my head, but it didn't fully set in until after I had already left the facility and the interaction. So keep that in mind as I say this next part. In my discussion of where I was at currently, I have not like hugged or kissed or done anything with anybody since my most recent romantic committed relationship. And it's been a while now at this point. And that came up in our conversation. And he like he just said some weird stuff in regards to that of like, "Oh, I can't just be with anybody either, but with you, I don't feel uncomfortable." And I was like, "Of course you don't." I didn't say that, but in my head, I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, it was just weird. He was trying to like invite me into certain activities in a very like seemingly casual way, but it was just odd. It was just weird. And I was like, So I hope that makes sense. Again, this is YouTube, so I can't say like specific words. And my parents also watch this, so I don't want to like get into it too much. And frankly, I don't want to really revisit that because it was uncomfortable for my own self. So those are all the reasons. Anyway, um, he wanted to spend a lot of time with me right away as our first interaction outside of the public space. And I was like, "No, if anything, we would meet at a cafe more casually." And he just kind of kept going back and forth between this whole like, spiritual being and like, "Oh, haha, I have to remember I'm human." And like, haha. And it's like as if it would bypass common pleasantries and respect. Does that make sense? It's like making excuses for wanting to get intimate or get closer faster under the guise of, "Oh, we're connected because we're spiritual." Like, no, you still have to like take things at a nice pace with people. Um, so let me see. I'm almost done with the story. So we left the interaction originally, and here's the thing too. We exchanged Facebooks like at the beginning of the conversation. So he already had my contact info in that way, unfortunately. I left the place and I went about my day within because that was the mid-afternoon or so. The whole rest of the day, you guys, messages upon messages, paragraphs upon paragraphs of like signs that he was seeing in his environment and like da 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 da. I'm getting downloads about you, but I don't know if you're ready to hear it. Let me know if you want to hear it. And like just making this whole thing. And I was feeling just not knowing how to even compute. And what hurts so bad is that he found my YouTube channel and he did that thing that I talked about earlier in this video with one of my own readings. I have a video on here where I have like channeled messages from your person as like 4 envelopes. And he chose one of the envelopes. I believe it was the rose quartz one. If you guys wanna if you really wanna sleuth this out, watch that video of mine. It's the, like, one with the letters, the envelopes on the, thumbnail with the crystals. He watched the rose quartz one, and he was telling me in these text messages that I was clearly communicating with him through that letter, and it was me speaking to him. I'm seeing no in the chat. I know. I know. I felt so violated and angry. I'm sorry. I was. I with my own self, I handled it with him very respectfully in a very grounded way, but me by myself just on the other side of the screen, I was like, no, I was so upset that he did that with my own video. I was like, "Ah!" So and that was guys, that was, like, within just a few hours because I went to bed. So, okay, wait, wait, wait. So, the messages, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up to more messages in the morning, and that's when he said the reading thing. So, I was like, "Oh my god, this is just not good." So I left my phone because I did that thing where, you can swipe down in your phone menu and see a preview of the message, and I saw what he had said, and I was like so I left my phone. I didn't respond. I wasn't on my phone for a few hours. And so I was like feeling weird, just trying to meditate and trying to ground because I just felt gross. And so when I finally faced the situation, I sent him a message. I was like, hey, thank you for sharing this, but I want to let you know that I don't really feel good about this. And this um, energy that you are tapping into, this timeline that you are telling me is something where we're together or whatever, I do not choose that. I don't. I don't choose that path. And so that was the end of that basically. There was a lot going on, and that all happened within 24 hours. Within within 24 hours. So uh, the aftermath is that, you know, the more I sit with it, the more time that goes on, the more I just feel very disturbed. And so it's unfortunate, but I do avoid that space now. Um, that movement space. There are others in the area that I could go to, thankfully, but yeah, I have him blocked on all social media and I don't really go to the place that we met. And if I do show up at that place and he is there, because we both had said that we don't go consistently, if he's ever there, I will turn around and leave like right away. If anything, I'll try to be a super sleuth and like peek behind the curtain and see if he's there. And then before he even sees me, I freaking leave. That's the plan if I ever go back. So, it's strange being the target of that. It's unfortunate. It happens all the time. And so, wow, we're at the closing thoughts already. And we're actually at a good amount of time now. This is usually the length of my streams anyway, about 40 minutes. So, thank you for sitting with me for this wild, wild ride. Again, please do not attack these people. If you're seeing this, if you know somebody in your personal life, or if you recognize these symptoms within your own self, I highly recommend, in the most compassionate, loving way possible, trying to guide that situation towards professional help with a licensed therapist. Um, you are not alone. You're not stupid. Like, just it's complicated. So know that the person who is meant for you is a beautiful and destined path. You don't have to think about or inquire about it in any way. Um, yeah, especially if it's taking up a lot of your time and energy. Um, yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Very sensitive subject here, so thank you for your attention. And I hope that I was able to explain this in the most compassionate yet clear way possible. There's a heart in the comments. Thank you, heart. Um, Before I sign off here, any questions, any clarifications, any comments even? I'll just wait a couple of seconds here to look. I guess while I'm waiting for messages, just in case people are typing something, I oh, somebody said I've had someone do that to me before. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that everything is well. I know this person. Well, still, I know the person who commented this personally, but I hope that that has been fully resolved, and everything is peaceful now and clear. Um, Announcement: I am getting a new microphone. That did not. I'm so excited. I can't speak. Okay, my friend said yes. Yay. I'm glad to know that. Thank you. I am getting a new microphone because this one is a couple years old and it's a lower end one. So I am going to get what my uncle, who has been making voiceovers professionally for years, has recommended to me within my budget that'll work well for me and my space and stuff. So I'm so stoked. I'm hoping that I will get that by the end of the week, or order it. I'll order it by the end of the week, and then yay, starry eyes in the comments. Thank you. I'm so excited. It's a really good mic, and I am planning on making a bunch of stuff with it, including having my podcast episodes be better quality, also these videos probably. And what else? Digital products on Etsy. I'm gonna re-record some of my stuff on there, I think, and then come out with a slew of a bunch of new stuff. So please look forward to that. And also setting up a freaking Fiverr for voice acting and voiceovers. Because I have an acting background and I can do a couple of different impressions and stuff. So I'll not only do commercial stuff in my portfolio, but also more like script kind of acting stuff. It would be so cool to be the voice of a main character of a video game or something like that. It'd be so fun. I love the creative side of things. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, it looks like there's nothing new in the chat, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this out, I think. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, please do subscribe if you're not already. Um, I am here every Wednesday night, and all of the time zones are in my banner on my profile, on my channel profile. So check for your specific time zone for that. Um, there's one more thing I wanted to say. Um, 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 I'm here every week live. I have a bunch of stuff on my channel that you can watch. I'll see when it feels aligned to make regular recorded videos again. And I'm getting my new my I can't say it again. Oh my gosh, my new microphone. That's it. Okay, great. Subscribe. I love you guys. Thank you. Have a good night or good rest of your day wherever you're at, and I will see you in the next one.